Speech pitch by Iska Sak.
Hi there.
Hello.
Yeah, and welcome back to Speech Pitch by Iska Sak. And I'm Orchid. And today we have with us Shri. Yeah, hi. So
Delighted to be here.
yeah. So can we know more about your speech research and what your current topics you are working on?
Very good. Well, first of all, thank you for having me here, talking to you, the Student Advisory Council of ISKA. I think it's a very vibrant and important part of our community because you are the future of our society. It brings back memories being here because my first Interspeech predecessor was in 1993 in Berlin. And so I was giving my first paper in front of some of the amazing leaders in our field at that time. I did not know who they were, otherwise I would have been extra nervous. But I've been in the 25 years since 2000, pretty much in every Interspeech, starting in Beijing. And so my work crosses many aspects of human speech, science and technologies, trying to use technological approaches to understand human speech communication aspects, everything from planning to production to processing and interaction, and then developing technologies that would hopefully support people, everything from making communication easier to understanding health status, biomarker discovery for various health conditions that are, say, you have neurological etiologies or other illnesses, to actually developing right now more responsible AI methods that have speech and language at its core. So it covers a whole range of topics.
Yeah, cool. So how do you feel about moving from classical signal processing to recent large language models or audio language based approaches?
That's a very good question.
Yeah.
Over the years, right, research is always evolving and progressing. Speech as a signal was one of the first ways we started characterizing and looking at it. But speech, as I always say, is very special. Right? It is results as a result of from an orchestration of many things, from the neurocognitive systems to the motoric systems to the social systems, to actually produce the signal that we process, interpret, and respond to. Right? But it also, as was pointed beautifully by Professor Isabel Troncoso yesterday, encodes so much more than just the intent. Right? It encodes your mental state of your emotions you're feeling, your mood, who you are, what language you're speaking, and it's so many different things. And so signal processing people early on were interested in trying to see how can we first of all share the signal, which is an acoustic signal, so decays very quickly, so that even if you're not sitting next to each other like we are, can still have speech communication, right? This is one of the core aspects of humans, right? So, and then that led to advances in signal processing, but communication and electronics. So that was a big part of voice technology, voice communication. The other aspect, people always been interested for decades. You have all seen, right? To produce synthetic speech, right? We call it sometimes synthetic speech nowadays. Sometimes it is labeled as deepfake. Yeah. But nevertheless, being able to produce human-like speech with qualities that we wanted to have, right, to convey information, but also to index it with various characteristics. Sound like a child. Sound like someone There's always been a big part of synthesizing, generating speech and spoken language, and so that has been another big thing. Signal processing, methodologies over the years have been used. On the other hand, understanding speech has also, been a big thing. Early on it was just automatic speech recognition. Mm-hmm. It's not, think about it as a fairly straightforward problem, right? I have some symbolic representation, either phonetic or lexical. I have the spoken form. I want to map it so that I can manipulate it easier, right? That was the idea. But speech understanding is much more, right? Like all the properties need to be, when we are having an interaction, it takes into account all these things, the context in which this is happening. And so technologies, signal processing methodology, like how do I piece together this, how do I manipulate this, how do I transform the signal, how do I draw inferences. They've all been there. Fast forward today, right? Methodologies have all been improving. Pattern recognition served a big purpose for many things, right? To be able to parse, piece, synthesize, generate, and analysis by synthesis has always been a big part of speech research, right? It's one of the core. Now the models that enable that are trying to learn directly from the signal itself, and so I would say it's signal processing still, but at a different scale, right? What we used to capture with statistical properties, mathematically sort of well. Now we are doing these mapping with more computational maps. So it's, I feel, a natural progression of ideas.
So how do you feel like from previous interspeech to this interspeech? What's your feeling like that?
So over the years, as I said, right now I've been in many interspeeches. First of all, the thing that is sort of increasingly happening is this technology advances that are not only moving just the technology for sake of technology, but also feeding back into the sciences. If you go to sessions, and what is very cool about interspeech, it's inherently interdisciplinary, right? And so I was in sessions, for example, today, talks on phonetics, phonology, and language acquisition, second language learners. But people are now using, new tools from large acoustic models, large, language, to understand and analyze the basic properties of what makes these differences. How do I understand that? Can I build better language learning methodologies? On the one hand. The other session I was, looking at all the things that are happening in the health space, right? Like a lot of vocal bio. Again, people are bringing not only knowledge about the processes of and the disruption of human vocal production, in various health conditions, right? Using these models. So I think this interaction between technology and science is happening a lot. A convergence of engineering methodologies are also supporting new ways of measuring, new ways of processing. The second thing is increasing in the last few years is also the role of industry always has been a big part of our community, right? Like that's another, it's not just academic, right? Like we just, a lot of, whether over the years, right? Many companies and industry has been a big part of our community, right? They are not only applying, but they're also top researchers, right? So, and I see that also is increasing quite a bit, right? So I think it's a very vibrant community, very interdisciplinary, and I feel a core part of the AI revolution, right? People want to do, one of the big things people want to do is like, can machines have this intelligence like people, right? One of the core aspects of that is the use of speech and language, to be able to, conceptualize, plan, produce, interact with language and with all its nuances in various socio-cultural settings. That's amazing human capability, and technology is trying to mimic, emulate, do this. It's like a big thing, and so speech is always at the center of this AI revolution. And I see that reflected in interspeech.
So like you can say like speech is more becoming a main core of the AI part. Like generally it is becoming, I guess, right?
Oh, it's not just becoming, it's been the driver.
Yeah.
Early on, right? Like now, if you think about like a big machine learning advances with even statistical machine learning, right? Like, with hidden Markov models and, Gaussian mixture models, those were the first ones that were truly data-driven, right? They were able to collect speech data, transcribe, and do it systematically in a community-driven way. So I think speech and spoken language researchers have been leading the way in many ways.
Yeah. And so, how do you feel about like Kos as a place for this conference, like for Interspeech this year?
Kos.
Like.
Well, Kos is a beautiful island, like
Yeah.
many islands in Greece. It's yet another. It is very significant in many ways, including for scientists. Right? They said, it's the island where medicine, as we know today, was sort of inspired with Hippocrates and so on. So, and it's again at the intersection of the world, right? It's right there between various geographical regions. So it's very meaningful to be back here. And I personally I love Greece. I have long-standing friendships and connections over the years, and I've been in many conferences, including in Kos, in Greece.
So I guess we all are enjoying our time here. So that should be it for our podcast. Thanks, Sri.
You're very welcome.
Speech pitch by Iska Sak.